12-year-old scout rescued kidnapped biker's daughter in the woods. Then 127 Hell's Angels showed up. Tyler heard 3 screams cut through the Pennsylvania woods, then nothing. The kind of silence that makes your blood freeze. He was 12 years old, half a mile from his scout camp, and every instinct screamed run. He didn't. Through the pines, he saw her. Blonde hair matted with dirt and blood. Zip ties cutting in her wrists. Duct tape across her mouth. Maybe 7 years old, tied to a rusted chair outside an abandoned cabin. But the silver Dodge Ram parked in the shadows wasn't abandoned. The engine was still ticking. Whoever left her was coming back. Tyler's hands shook. Camp rules were clear. Find trouble. Blow your whistle. Wait for adults. He looked at that terrified little girl. He thought about waiting. Then he pulled out his 3-inch scout knife and moved. It was October 2019. Tyler's troop was doing wilderness survival training in the woods outside Harrisburg. No phones, no GPS, just skills you pray you never need. He'd volunteered to scout ahead when he heard those screams. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss stories like this from Untold Story 0.4. The zip ties were industrial grade, thick as his finger. He saw it for a full minute while his heart hammered in his chest. When they snapped and her hands came free, Tyler peeled off the tape. The girl gasped and whispered 2 words that made his blood run cold. They're coming. Her name was Sophie Brennan, 7 years old, snatched from her grandmother's driveway 2 days ago while waiting for the school bus. The men who took her wanted money from her father who rode with a motorcycle club. Tyler heard the truck engine roaring up the logging road. He grabbed Sophie's ice-cold hand and they ran. Not toward camp. That would lead killers to 20 other kids. They ran deeper into the forest where the oaks blocked out the sky. Behind them, doors slammed. Men shouted. Boots pounded the ground. Tyler had earned his orienteering badge 8 months earlier. He used every second of that training now, moving downhill toward water. Sophie fell hard over a root, scraped her knees bloody, bit back a scream, and kept running. The men were getting closer. Then Tyler found it. A creek, 20 feet wide, rushing over smooth stones. Water hides scent. Rocky beds don't hold prints. They waded into October cold water that hit like ice. Sophie's lips turned blue, but she didn't stop. They moved downstream, try not to splash, try not to fall. That's when Tyler heard them. The motorcycles. Not 1, not 5, dozens. Deep V-twin thunder echoing through the valley like a storm rolling in. Sophie's father had called in the cavalry. Vince Brennan was a real biker. When his daughter vanished and police said these cases take time, Vince made one call to his chapter president. Within 6 hours, 127 riders from 3 states had dropped everything and rolled into Harrisburg. They've been searching in grids since dawn, covering every trail and abandoned property for 50 miles. One search team heard 3 short whistle blasts. The scout distress signal. They followed it to the creek and found Tyler and Sophie standing in the water, soaked, shivering alive. The bikers pulled them out, wrapped them in leather jackets that smelled like motor oil and smoke. Then they formed a wall. 127 motorcycles in a massive circle around 2 kids. Engines rumbling, creating a fortress of chrome and leather. Nothing was getting through. The kidnappers emerged 4 minutes later. 3 men who thought this would be easy money. They stopped dead, stared at over 100 bikers standing shoulder to shoulder, engines idling, eyes locked on 3 men who'd made a very bad choice. Nobody threw a punch. Nobody said a word. Those 3 men looked at that wall of bikers, looked at each other, then sat down in the dirt with their hands up. Police arrived 18 minutes later. 3 weeks later, the club presented Tyler with a custom leather jacket. Blood red stitching on the back. Honorary brother, saved one of ours. Tyler wore it once for photos, then hung it in his closet where it still hangs. He's 19 now, studying criminal justice at Penn State. Sophie's 13, straight A student, wants to be a park ranger. They exchange Christmas cards every year. Sophie always writes the same thing. Still practicing my navigation. Somewhere in Pennsylvania, bikers still tell the story of the 12-year-old who didn't wait for adults. The kid who saw a little girl tied to a chair and made a choice that brought 127 riders to those woods. The bravest person in that forest wasn't wearing a cut or riding a Harley. He was wearing a scout uniform, carrying a knife he'd earned tying knots. Drop a comment and tell me what you would have done. Run for help or going alone. Share this with your riding buddies. Because sometimes the road leads you where you're needed. And sometimes courage doesn't come with horsepower. Sometimes it just comes with a choice. Next week, a Marine who stopped a robbery at a rally with nothing but words. Hit that bell icon.